Rifleman. Starring Chuck Connors.
Some say to this very day that somewhere out there in this great land of ours, that rifle is still shooting. Unlimited ammo. Up, down, left, right, A, B, select, start. Today, we're on the grounds here to visit the grave of legendary Hollywood actor Chuck Connors. And of course, all of you guys know him as the Rifleman. But some of you out there may not know this, but other than being a legendary Hollywood actor, Chuck Connors was also a standout athlete. Chuck Connors was born April 10th, 1921, of all places, Brooklyn, New York. And Chuck was a gifted athlete. As a matter of fact, when he grew up in New York, his family, they were pretty poor, so they wouldn't have been able to afford to send him to any school. He would have to just get good grades on his own. And when he was going into high school, he actually got a scholarship to a preparatory academy. And at this place, this high school, he played both baseball and basketball. However, I believe his first love, of course, was baseball. And in 1939, after he graduated school, he got about a dozen or so offer letters from different colleges around the East Coast, and maybe some down south too. And he ended up taking Seton Hall's offer, and he would go to school there for a couple years. So for Seton Hall, he played both baseball and basketball. Now later on, his dream, of course, was to play first base for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And so they did sign him to a contract, but not a major league contract. No, they signed him to a contract where he would play for their, it might have been like a single A affiliate, maybe a double A, down in Newport, Arkansas, which is kind of funny because I've been to Newport, Arkansas. I actually broke down in Newport, Arkansas several years ago. Nice little town. And my van got up and running that Monday when the mechanic opened up his business. So he would bounce around between that affiliate, and he would also play for the Norfolk Tars, T-A-R-S. I could think about a couple different names that are better that I would name my baseball team after than what's in a cigarette. But, you know, I guess smoking was popular back in those days. Chuck also would play for the Mobile, Alabama Bears, and in 1947, they would win the Southern Association Championship. And he also played for the Montreal affiliate. That year, he batted .319, hit 20 home runs, and 108 RBI. So this guy was a very, very talented baseball player. He also played for the Boston Celtics in 1946. Before they joined the NBA, they were in the BAA. And he played for them for 2 seasons, but he really wanted to be a baseball player, so he would stick with that. And in 1948, he met his wife, Elizabeth, and together they had 4 children. Now, after a while, his dream would kind of sort of come true for playing for the Dodgers. So he did get 1 at bat in the major leagues. He grounded out to a double play, I believe. So that was about all he got. And then later on, they would ship him to the Los Angeles Angels. Okay, any Angels fan over here? Anybody Angels fan? That's my favorite team. I hate the Dodgers. Just no offense, Chuck, but I just can't do it, kid. I just can't do it. So, anyways, so at this time now, you got a few kids. You got some mouths to feed. And Chuck, I would say he was making a living playing, minor league baseball. And then when he was playing out here, he got spotted by a scout. It's hard not to notice that guy because he has one of those, those faces that you just can't forget. He just has that rugged, handsome look. And it helps to be 6'5". You're 6'5", and you're going to be noticed walking around town. That's for sure. I also forgot to mention that other than being a Hollywood actor and an athlete, he's also an Army veteran. He was a tank commander, but he didn't go overseas. He was stationed in Kentucky, so he did serve a few years in the United States Army. So when Chuck came to Los Angeles, he was noticed by a scout that worked for MGM. And, you probably said, hey, you should come over here and get some pictures taken, maybe do a read or what have you. We'll put you to work. You're a handsome guy. You got a look about you. And next thing you know, he's being cast in his first role in the 1950 movie Pat and Mike, starring Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. In that movie, he played a police captain. And he would start getting more and more roles. So eventually in 1953, he hung up the glove and the bat and the cleats and just a whole uniform altogether. Because now he's getting roles, and sometimes they're speaking roles, sometimes they're not speaking roles. And so he also played roles in 1953's Coat 2 and 1957's The Hired Gun. In that movie Coat 2, it starred Ralph Meeker and Elaine Stewart. Okay. So later on, he would, of course, get his most famous role in The Rifleman. Chuck also did a couple TV shows as well. He was on an episode of Superman, and he also was on an episode of Gunsmoke, where he had a fist fight with Marshal Matt Dillon. Now, can you guys guess who won that fight? I'll give you a hint. His name rhymes with Marshal Matt Dillon. So, producers were coming up with a television program called The Rifleman, and they had originally offered the job to Chuck, but he turned it down because the pay wasn't very good. And also, back in those days, when you were an actor and you're doing movie roles and you're getting somewhat steady work, to do television, not that it was looked down upon, but it wasn't something that was advisable, because they would say like, oh, if you do a television show, then you're going to get stuck in, that hole where you only do TV shows. It was a weird thought process, but that's what some people thought back in those days. So he played on the 1957 movie Old Yeller, which I did watch when I was in the second grade. I do not remember that movie at all. It was all a blur, man. It was all a blur. And the producers of The Rifleman, once they saw Chuck acting in that movie and how he interacted with the kids, or the kid in that movie, they knew that they're like, man, okay, we gotta up our price. And so they did up their price, and I want to say, and thank God for editing, but I normally don't edit anything out. I want to say they offered him 5% of the profit of the TV show, which would be pretty good. I would definitely take that. And so in the movie The Rifleman, the TV show The Rifleman, the TV show only lasted 5 seasons, surprisingly enough. But in this show, it's the Rifleman, and he's somewhere in some godforsaken part of New Mexico. No offense to anybody that lives in New Mexico, none at all. But New Mexico, not all parts of New Mexico are bad, but a lot of them are. Anyways, so in that TV show, he plays that character Lucas McCain. And Lucas McCain, he's on this ranch. He's a widower, or is it widowee, or what have you. And on the show, he's fending off countless bad guys with the help of his magic rifle that has unlimited ammo. And he has a son that he teaches moral lessons. Instead of spankings, he would give his son just these lessons on life and how to be a good person. And, he didn't feel he had to spank his son. Now, my mother, on the other hand, she would disagree with the Rifleman. She actually has her own intro, but instead of a gun firing, it's the repeated sounds of a belt being snapped. Yeah, it still brings shivers to my spine. And don't forget, Mother, I still have not forgiven you for you breaking my PlayStation and throwing it against the wall, almost missing my head. That PlayStation, to this day, I often think about my PlayStation. That was a tough one to swallow. I forgive, but I don't forget. And so after the Rifleman, he would be pretty, I guess you would say, busy for an actor. He had a couple TV shows, but none of them, surprisingly enough, ever really hit. There was only the couple TV shows where they would only last one season. So they were trying to get this guy some work. But I don't know, each show, it just never really hit. He was on, I guess it was only one season of ABC's Arrest and Trial, which is kind of known now as Law and Order. Or is it Law and Order, and then they kind of just based it on that TV show? And also, he was on NBC's Branded. That only lasted a season as well. But a role that I remember that he played was on the mini TV miniseries. I can never say that properly. The TV miniseries. Shouldn't it be movie series? Anyways, Roots. Anybody watch Roots with Chicken George? Did he play the guy that raped Kizzy and then she had his baby or something like that? I mean, how many times did they make him say the N-word in that? I remember I was reading an article that a lot of the white actors in that in that movie, they had a problem saying the N-word because they were like really with the N-word. And it was very uncomfortable for some of them. Now, what I want to know is who wasn't it uncomfortable for? Who didn't have any problem saying it? As a matter of fact, I want to know who says it every day. I want names, and I want them now. And then after that, he was on another TV show that only lasted a season, Werewolf. Was that what it was? It was like he played a werewolf, I remember, or something like that. I actually played one episode. It wasn't bad. It kind of reminded me of Friday the 13th, except for it was a werewolf. However, that only lasted one season as well. And then there you have it. I never understood why they wouldn't give him like a legit TV show, but I don't think he was typecast. I just think, well, I don't know what to think. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest Americans that have ever lived, Chuck Connors. So he did not like his name, Kevin. he went by Chuck because when he played baseball, he would tell people, "Chuck it to me, baby. Chuck it right over here." And they would chuck it to him, and then they called him Chuck. And however, isn't one of his kids named Kevin? But he hates that name. Doesn't make any sense. And sadly, he died November 10th, 1992. Died from lung cancer. So, you got the Cubs right there. I didn't know he played for the Cubs. Of course, you got the Dodgers right there. Not a fan. And you got the Boston Celtics right here. Also not a fan. Lakers over here, but nonetheless. Rest in peace to Chuck Connors. No Kevin over here. Just Chuck. The Rifleman. You better duck, boy. Okay, guys, I am out of here. Hope you somewhat enjoyed the video. Definitely not the best out there, but just one of a few guys that do this kind of content. So I'm hitting the road. We're gonna go about 8 miles over there, and we're gonna do a video for the other channel about a girl who went to high school in this area, and she was murdered by 2 girls who she thought they were her friends. They weren't. They were her murderers. I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.